gladly share with you because they know, they're always looking to get more clients. They will say, you need at least $1 million in revenues, or you need at least X amount, and they will walk you through the different thresholds, as well as any kind of compliance that's related to Texas. So that's what I would recommend to make sure that you're not doing anything incorrectly. If it was New York, I'd be like, oh yeah, this is what you need to do.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I can share. So Paige and I were talking about the budget, and we both mentioned how we don't budget out money that's not either already committed or like a purchase order or in the bank already. So that's how we kind of keep it reality instead of a fantasy. So I never put like projections into my budget. I don't want to ever overpromise to either a contractor or W2 that they're going to have a job longer than my,
basically had AI scrape the entire internet for
I like that.
grant
So you're taking a
opportunities for
conservative approach,
nonprofits.
which is great.
He has a tool that basically automates the process of like finding
sometimes some organizations
programs and
will
stuff,
say,
funding
well,
apply for
for that
nonprofits,
grant,
and like helps
there's a
automate the application
50-50
process
chance.
different ways.
For this one, it's a 10% chance. And then what
You
you
mentioned
do
that you
is
let the
multiply
AI scrape over
0.5 times that amount
Let's
or
set up an
0.1
AI
times
scrape
that
for
amount.
something that I may be
That'll give you
interested
some sort
in.
of pipeline of the potential of some of this coming in while factoring in
And I'm pretty sure he's using Claude.
your likelihood of, it's basically your gut on this stuff. So if you want to do that approach too, and sometimes all of them come through you, sometimes none of them come through. So I like your conservative approach at this stage.
Can I ask a follow-up on that? So I guess, I'm definitely on the conservative approach, but at times, I guess I'm always curious as to, we definitely want to make sure we have funding for bringing staff full-time, especially if it's going to be more than 1 year.
Yep.
But at times, I also wonder, what if you have like 80% of the funding secured and the other 20% you have to raise and you don't have yet? How do you have those conversations with your staff? But similarly, at times I notice some staff want some security in terms of like, how are things going for next year? Like, will you have funding for that? And I guess it's a different conversation. Like, some staff want more security, but in the space, these grants take 6 to 8 months.
Yeah. It depends on what type of leader you want to be, right? So I'm a very transparent leader about these things, but at the same time, I don't want to scare the crap out of my staff either. So it's this fine line of being honest without becoming an alarmist.
I want to do a challenge
right?
where I create a new product with AI every day.
You may have some great
Or
staff,
every week.
and then they're
Should I
like,
do every day or every
well,
week?
I don't know if my paycheck's going to be here next month, and then they leave, and now you got to go and find somebody, right? So it's this real fine balance of being in integrity with yourself, being honest, but not so honest that you're shooting yourself in the foot. So to me, 80% of the way there, that's great, right? Because then the final 20%, even though it may put you on edge, I'm a betting man, right? And I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm confident in myself that I can get that other 20%. But if you're not so confident that that other 20% is going to come in, then you want to curtail some other expenses, or let's reduce this program. Let's not let the overtime happen. Let's really reel this stuff. Reel these costs in, because the funding environment right now is tough, right? So I would assess those. You have to keep assessing those percentages, and then in my head, I always have the super conservative budget, the oh my god, we got everything that we asked for budget, and then some midpoint. So like, I've almost pre-made the decisions on what I would cut if we went from the best case scenario budget down to the midpoint, down to the oh shit, we're in trouble kind of thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. See this in the chat. At what point is it too conservative and inhibiting growth? That's a great question. Yeah, so again, it comes down to the type of leader you want to be. Like, are you sometimes you want to believe your own marketing and you want to believe in that it's going to come through, but it's got to be based on some data, right? So if you've been courting this one funder for a long time and it feels like you're going to get it, you could take the approach of like, until we get that check, we're not doing it, or hey, we got the soft committee, they told me it's coming, it's a matter of time, okay, I'm going to go with their word, right? So that's really tough. And then
yeah, you can just say, which is like where I am, like until we get that check, it's not real, because I was telling my group, like where I'm sitting right now, we're one block away from block HQs where they just have their massive layoffs, so it's like people that you do business with, we're just like seeing, like like full disclosure, TMI, I came into Camelback on things because we had a big invoice coming in, and it was T-Mobile 10,000 layoffs like right before Camelback, so like invoice is out, everything's done, so it's I have to like leave my team with like this massive pipeline that we don't even have the resources to make this big pipeline, but also the reality is like, hey, we're in different unique times right now, and there's just so much uncertainty. It feels like we went from COVID to what happened, afterwards, and now we just feel like we haven't been able to get our footing. So not so much a fantasy, but it's like really having a plan A through Z all the time, and how exhausting that is, and how it's like just not as focused if we're having to do so much to stay alive.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I always want to know how much runway do I have, right? So if I know my back of the envelope, this is how much money's going out each month. If all expenses stay the same, how much cash do we have divided by what that monthly nut is, or weekly, or whatever frequency you're aligning on, and then say, look, we got a month's worth, we got 3 months worth, we got 6 months worth. Like, I want to know what that amount is, and then my level of concern goes up the shorter my duration. So, but then I want to be ready with, like, this is the first level of layoffs, this is the second level of layoffs.
It took the words out of my mouth. I was like, we had to do early layoffs, just because we were like, okay, it's getting crazy. We're not going to be able to. It's almost a risk to keep going. We were just at 6 and we went to 4. We were just like, I'm gambling people's livelihood. But to have the best reserve, we're going to have to, respectfully and lay off some folks' dignity and be real with our team about what this looks like in this time. And, the reality is even, I've had a lot of folks who are talking to somebody right now in the text, and they're saying like, oh, I want to look for another job. And I'm like, hey, this may not be the time right now. Hold on. So just try to like hold on and just stay alive is the goal right now.
Yeah, I hear that. Like, I'm 20 years old. Look at all this gray. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
but yeah.
It comes at you fast. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of burden to carry as a leader, and on one hand, it's very honorable to make the attempt, right? And on the other hand, you feel like you're responsible for all these lives, and it's not an easy thing, and it's but at the same time, what is the regret that you'd feel if you didn't try, right? So like
our first group, I told them it's like motivating and also like anxiety driven. You can't sleep because I'm feeding families to their kids, and that is what keeps me up at night. Like, so you gotta try, you gotta make sure the money's working, all these things. But yeah, it's the reality.
That's right. Thank you for bringing this up. Okay, so let's move on, and hopefully we're definitely not going to cover all of it, but at least we can get through the forecasting session. I think that would be good, because this can be a real skill that you can pick up. So cause 6, making uninformed decisions due to late, inaccurate, or incomplete financial reports, forecasts, or metrics. We really want you to prepare the reports, the forecasts. We want you to make informed decisions. So, Sector 26, not forecasting well, or just not at all. So, budget factors, versus actuals, budget factors, that's not enough. So, this kind of spells it out a little bit more. So, budget plus actuals is only part of the story. Budget plus actuals plus the forecast of fiscal year end is the full story. Again, the forecasts are based on your gut, right? So, it's resting on a lot of assumptions. But if you're not assuming anything, then you're taking even a bigger risk, in my opinion. So not all stakeholders will ask for forecasting. So the board should, the management team should, and you have to get ahead of it, and you have to make educated guesses. So here, this is a lot to digest, but I want to walk you through this. And again, when you get the PDFs, then you'll see this. This is designed for a charter school, but it can be for a for-profit, it can be for a non-profit. But essentially, think of this, the top here, these are the revenues, and then below is all the different expenses in this first column. So the second column, column A here, that's the annual budget from July 2024 to June 2025, right? So at a high level, it's showing 3.75 billion in revenues is the annual budget, and then when you look, when you look at the bottom, there's expenses of 3.757, yielding a net income, a surplus of $180,000, right? The next column is the budget for the period that you're reporting. So in this case, it's July 1st through November 30th. Then the column after that is the actuals for the period that you're reporting. And then C minus D is the variance between the budget and the actuals. That's the variance, right? So in this particular example, we're down $200,000.
Computer just died. Anyway, I just decided that I'm going to create a new product every week using AI. So basically, at the top of the week, I'm gonna have a particular problem that I want to solve. It really isn't going to necessarily be focused on health. It could be on any category, or really just anything that I see on the internet. Like if I see something on the internet, or I see something in my life that I'm like, oh, I could build a product or a tool, or there would be a better solution to that, then I'm gonna create something. And then like over the course of the week, I'm gonna iterate on the product. Like I'm gonna take feedback from people. So any ideas that you have, or if you like test out the product that I'm developing, like I post a link and you test out the product, like, and you run into a bug or something like that, I'm gonna update it in real time and just show the process of building these products. You know, I'm doing this for a few reasons. One, to kind of put some pressure on myself to create products. What I've learned the most on my entrepreneurial journey is that reps is where you find genius. And so I have no like particular attitude toward my own intelligence. I'm only focused on what I can control, which is how many times I try to do different things to help increase the likelihood of me achieving a particular goal or developing a solution that people would like. Yeah, I rely on reps. I like that. That could be a slogan. Rely on reps. So this is my attempt to put out 52 products over the next 52 weeks. Hope you guys come on the journey with me. Peace out. We're going back inside because I just logged out of the thing. And my computer died. I'm in the middle of a meeting. They're going to get mad. I guess I could log on my phone real quick. Look at that. All done. Yeah, but it's been a cool process. I actually have created 3 products in the past week, so I think it's realistic for me to do a product a week. And it's going to keep my mind open throughout the week, throughout my life more now, because now that I know I could take an idea and turn it into a product in less than 10 minutes, it makes you think bigger, faster. So, and anybody can do this. Guys, we are in a moment where everything is going to change, and so it would be wise to position yourself to grow with the change. Don't resist it at all. That's not to say that everything that is right now, the way it is right now, isn't going to sustain at all. Right? There are tons of industries and tons of ways of life that'll be the same. But a lot is going to change, and everybody should be ready for that. All right, let's see if this updated the way I wanted it to. Nothing yet. Alright, guess how we do it on this phone, baby. Peace out, chat.